What makes it so difficult for the brands and the manufacturers to efficiently communicate, and why does this happen?
As a designer, I'm very creative. I think more visually. PLM tools like Plumber, they solve this by offering the standardized templates.
Yeah, it's just all about having that opportunity to see all of that information in one place. That's the way the PLM should be, we believe as well.
Oh my goodness. I know. I agree 100%.
AI is another thing that I feel going forward will be really big thing in fashion industry as well, especially when it comes to data-centric technologies.
I'm actually really excited to just see how AI and 3D and all of these amazing technologies are going to really have a direct influence.
That's why I wanted to have you over and discuss a little bit more so our listeners can also hear that from the first-hand experience of real use cases. Hi, Amanda. So good to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm not going to waste any time. I'm just going to dig right into one of the most relevant questions we hear from our users when it comes to product development workflow challenges, which is the communication gap. I mean, a lot of users, a lot of design teams and manufacturers always maintain this. One big challenge they face is alignment between design teams and manufacturers, which of course leads to a lot of mismatched samples and production issues, and resulting in the high cost, the bad quality samples. From your expertise, Amanda, what makes it so difficult for the brands and the manufacturers to efficiently communicate, and why does this happen?
Yeah. So I'm thinking of kind of two ideas. So the first thing is really around, language and technical barriers. So as a designer, I'm very creative. I think more visually. Whereas on the manufacturing side, they work a little bit more technically. They're very, detail oriented. So when these two perspectives don't align, it really leads to, mismatched samples and errors. So I've seen firsthand with one of my clients in kids wear, their designs just weren't translating during the production because they lacked perhaps detail, standardized kind of annotations or instructions for each of their styles, which they help to communicate your intended details. So by offering to utilize and invest in, a PLM technology like Plumber, it gave us the opportunity to create, detailed visual tech packs that were both intuitive, but also technical, to just try and bridge that gap between design intent and factory execution. So, we share visual images, but really lean into annotations, instructions, and using the tools offered for, sketches, inspiration, images, and it just helps to communicate, more technical details.
Mm-hmm. So TechPacks plays a big role here in bridging that communication gap. You mentioned about annotation tools and how visually that helps the design teams while technically manufacturers are able to grasp the requirements. Tell me more about that. Like, how do you feel, how important is TechPacks in this product development workflow?
Oh my goodness. I feel like this is the most important thing. This is kind of where I get most of my passion. So, being in corporate for 2 decades and now bringing it into a consulting space, I just think this is the most important thing. I think some of the most common challenges come from, consistency and standardization. So making sure, especially if you're a big team or a growing team, making sure that you have control of that consistency and standardization. One of the most common mistakes that I think brands, approach is creating tech packs with lack of standardization. So you want to have consistent templates, your terminology, your formatting, making sure that those documents are not confusing to both your internal team or your manufacturers. So this is where I think, if that's not clear, it really can lead to errors and miscommunication. So, PLM tools like Plumber, they solve this by offering the standardized templates. You can build and manage libraries that really give that centralized platform. where everybody can, work from the same set of guidelines.
Absolutely, yes. Standardization of tech packs, that really sets a unified tone and an understanding between the stakeholders. I want to dig a little bit more deeper into tech packs in general because, of course, it's a big and integral part of an optimized product development workflow. Um, I often also hear from my clients, well, before they become a part of our technology, is that there is always this big disconnect of a centralized, or rather say a disorganized tech back environment where all the critical information is scattered out. You would say that it's very hard for them to find that information, or something is missing, and of course that leads to, again, the errors, and the quality diminishes, the cost goes up. From your experience working with these small and mid-sized fashion brands, working directly with teams, what are the most common mistakes that results to this disorganization, and how can brands come out of this chaos?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you kind of mentioned it. I think it's just the perhaps a lack of the centralized information. So, many brands have, they have email chains, hundreds of thousands of emails that they're going back and forth internally or with their manufacturing partners. There's management of, multiple spreadsheets. So that's costing documents or tracking documents. And just using so many different platforms to share, their files, their revisions. So it just feels like a very disjointed process and extremely overwhelming, especially to teams that are, growing and getting bigger. And I think this is what really leads to, the miscommunication and missed updates. I guess a good example to share of how, there's a way to just improve this. So I collaborated with a company, Q4 Designs, which is a client of Plumber.
Yep.
They're an apparel company. They're based in New York. They provide, innovative, growth-driven experience for their brand partners and their retail customers. They do design, product development, sourcing, production, operations. So amazing company. So when we first began working together a few years back, they were managing, design, product development, sourcing, all of this for 4 major brands. But they were using quite a few combinations of like Illustrator, Excel for measurements, costing sheets, tracking documents, just multiple various files. So each brand also had its unique processes. So they really seized the opportunity to create more, single source of truth by maximizing, tools like Plumber for their tech packs, production management across the whole organization. So this really helped to, streamline their workflows, really enhance their cross-brand consistency. So kind of bringing everybody into the same processes, and then just really help to provide a foundation to successfully expand their portfolio. So a few years ago I think they had around 4 brands. Now they have 8 brands today. So just really helping to grow their efficiency, their quality, and really elevating that entire fashion workflow process.
Mhm. So, in a nutshell, this disorganized workflow that Q4 reached out to us, and you helped, of course, onboarding them, was more around this fragmented process that they had, where the data was completely scattered out and in multiple platforms, and
Mhm.
having you suggesting them to have a centralized PLM system was the key in terms of turning this whole disorganization around into something more successful workflow for them, and optimized workflow for them. What was your key takeaway from that? I mean, post the implementation, is there anything that you want to share with our listeners, or other brands who are considering or who faces similar challenges? What is the key takeaway? How do big brands or even mid-sized brands with scattered digital information work towards something like that, or succeed from having a centralized system, PLM system, so to say?
Sure. So I think probably the biggest hesitation that I see is it just feels like a huge undertaking to, get into a new process, to, understand how it works, to onboard your team. But the payoff is so immense. I think most fashion companies, at least me as a fashion designer, I want to master the technical efficiency side of my business in
Hmm.
order to give me more time for creativity, innovation, out of the box thinking. So I think, there might be a resistance at the beginning because it feels like such an undertaking, especially you know, if you're over 5, 10 employees, and it feels like it's a big project. But I think it becomes, once you get into the system, once you start seeing the types of efficiencies that it can create for your team, you really become excited to dive deeper and to become more efficient and to, really dig into a lot of the software capabilities, because it really does allow you time and space to become more innovative and more creative, which
Hmm.
is, that's the purpose.
Oh
So,
yes, absolutely. And I just to sorry to cut you off, but this is where I have felt in my entire like career in working in this industry, is like a lot of my colleagues have always maintained that oh, PLM systems, oh, legacy systems, so much investment, so much time. Does it even worth it? By the time we finally realize the efficiency of it, it's too late. What about the workflows that we're already in? But at the same time, they're still working on Adobe Illustrator, or
mhm,
which is a great platform too, but it's all scattered out. Some information is in spreadsheets, as you said. There are
yep,
email chains going on, and if someone leaves, you have to just again dig deeper. Someone leaves in the team, dig deeper and find that information, and that's where the real value of a centralized data system comes in. And of course, PLM has been doing this for so long. But yeah, I mean, it's rightly so, there has been reservations. They are expensive systems. But having said that, I mean, one of our philosophies at Plumber has always been that we do not want to be that kind of technology where brands feels they're trapped in it. The longevity of just onboarding the team onto that, we always wanted to sort of like build this more designer friendly, yet something that even manufacturer can adopt it easily. And that's where my next question comes in, which is more around again our philosophy, the integrations, right? And we feel very confident that in the future generations of designers, they have these amazing tools they're already working on. They all
yep.
can speak to rather each other instead of having that one system. And that is what I want to like talk to you a little bit more about in your with your experience in onboarding one of the companies that you worked for, sorry, you helped with, which was I believe the highlight for children.
Yes.
You had yeah, tell me more about that, how you were able to help them integrate their 3D design files, I believe, on Clo 3D,
Yep.
and how did that whole thing happen? How can you give your experience on that to help other companies believe that integrations is the way to go as the next generation PLM?
Yeah, absolutely. This was such a fun project. So, just to kind of ground, Highlights for Children is a company. They're actually based here in Columbus, Ohio, where I am. And historically, they're actually an editorial company. So they create beautiful magazines for different ages of children. So they're very invested in the youth and the creativity. So the particular project that I worked with them on, they were, essentially setting up a new category. So, working into graphic tee apparel. So, for this, it was a really unique challenge because our objective was to establish and manage fit execution for 34 different sizes. So, imagine, graphic tee business, you need to build a huge size range, develop the grade, but also ensuring like seamless collaboration across multiple stakeholders. So For this particular project, we included unisex kid sizes from like toddler size all the way up to 14, 16, and then also for adult sizes. So if you
That's
think
crazy how
about
many sizes they have, first of all.
yeah, it was pretty wild. Which is why, the opportunity for this collaboration and integration was so
Mhm.
special. It was the perfect kind of case study to, really lean into Clo 3D and see how that integration could work. So initially for this project, we really transitioned from a traditional like design and prototyping process to a little bit more of a dynamic, real time integrated workflow. So this allowed us so we still built our initial sketches, our bill of materials, our graded measurements. That was built in Plumber. But then we utilized Clo 3D to conduct and visualize all of the fit sessions across all sizes and genders by using, Clo 3D avatars. So we created custom Clo avatars that were built from the company's size standards, and we were able to execute consistency without the need for physical samples at every stage, which was beyond exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Such a complicated piece of puzzles, and you use these integration tools to kind of like bridge all that information together and centralize it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's also really excited me when I heard about that, how all of this could be managed in one place. I mean, 3D technologies, they're excellent.
Yeah.
The amount of
Absolutely.
time and cost they save.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just all about having that opportunity to see all of that information in one place,
Yep.
and that's the way the PLM should be. We believe as
Oh
well.
my goodness. I
Uh,
know. I agree 100%. And it was actually really exciting because it was such a back and forth. So we started in Plumber to kind of build the foundation of the tech packs, and then we flipped to the Clo 3D experience to kind of do those virtual fittings. But it was really interesting, once we got to the approval stage for the fittings, I was actually able to take all of those 3D images and bring them back into the Plumber Tech Packs, because this really helped to provide, a visual resource for the manufacturers. So,
mhm.
you know, at that stage, in theory, we had conducted, 2 rounds of fits, revisions, and achieved that final approval process across 34 different sizes, but we had never even had to request a physical sample. So this really was a way to, help the brand get ready for, overseas production. And really the only next step that they would have needed to take would be share the tech pack, the 3D images, all the graded measurements, and then just one PP sample for each size to just double check, construction and details. But from a fit perspective, everything was already accomplished. So it was a really amazing opportunity, and, just some great insight to, what's in store for the future and how we can be more sustainable, more efficient. And like you said, it's all about integrating the right softwares.
Yeah, it's just still so mind-boggling to me. 34 sizes,
Yeah.
and in managing all that, fit sessions and the communications and all in real time. Yeah, I mean, this is where I also feel that technology plays such a huge role in optimizing product development workflows. And for the longest time, us in the fashion industry, we have been a bit hesitant of adopting, be ahead of the curve when it comes to utilizing the technology at the right time.
Hmm.
But it's changing, and that's what we are here to do as well, right?
Yep.
To bring that awareness, how it can change. Talking of change and technology, just a little off the topic. I don't know if you've been reading the news lately about DeepSeek. Have you heard of it?
Mm-mm.
Did you hear about it? Okay, so
No.
this is a
Tell me about it.
a competitor of ChatGPT, OpenAI.
Okay. Yep.
It's a Chinese competitor, DeepSeek, and they launched yesterday, and it resulted in $1 trillion loss to the U.S. stock exchange, because everyone in the industry is oh, first of all, they kept it open source. Everything is open source, and they want to give it for free. And they are claiming that their technology is as good as the other AI
Wow.
included out there. So yeah, I was playing around with it this morning, and it's not too bad. It's just it's the same thing, but it's all free.
Yeah.
And that has called for a little panic in the tech industry. But
Mhm.
anyways, the point I was trying to make over here is AI. AI is another thing that I feel going forward could be really, really a big thing in fashion industry as well, especially
Absolutely.
when it comes to data centric technologies where everything is still done. A lot of things are still done manually.
Mhm.
Just with a AI query, there's a lot we can do. I just wanted to hear from you if anything about AI or this technology have you been hearing about in the industry, something you've been gauging from your clients? Are they interested about it or use that in the product development workflows?
Yeah, so it's so interesting. My personal experience with like Clo 3D in particular was at a very granular level, right? We used it to execute with, 3D avatars to basically avoid sampling time, money. But I think just 3D in general has become so curious to me. I'm in touch with a lot of fashion freelancers, so follow a lot of different people who are specializing in specific categories, and I'm super excited to see more freelancers that are specializing in 3D design. And I just think it's so amazing how I did a fit session, but they're creating 3D technology that, they put in a customized fabric. It can actually have movement. I mean, it's just mind blowing.
Hmm.
I know, from working with some of my clients who are, some that are smaller clients, they can't really see the value in that yet, but definitely more of the mid to large size apparel brands. I'm guessing that most, if not all of them,
Hmm.
are looking into these technologies because it really is the wave of the future. This is how we can, really head on the, negative connotations that the fashion industry has experienced for so many years with wastefulness. And I just think it can be such an amazing opportunity, but it just seems like it's taking such a long time for the masses to, invest and investigate and be
Hmm.
curious. So I'm actually really excited to just see how, AI and 3D and all of these amazing technologies are going to really have a direct influence. And I'm thinking in the next 5 years for sure, if not 10. So it's going to be really, really amazing to watch.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I'm so positive about that because I do see how AI artificial intelligence can really help expedite a lot of processes which
Mm.
are so manually driven. And of course, I'm going to be biased and speak on the behalf of product development technologies and data management technologies. But as you just said about 3D, it'll be so amazing, so cool to see how renders could be generated in a through a little voice memo. you know
Yeah.
that would be so cool. I mean,
Mhm.
again, there's always going to be a debate about that artistic creative hands-on process versus
Yeah.
taking technology too far and relying on it. But that's what supply chain management is all about. That's what product development workflows are all about. You always find ways to make it better, efficient.
Mhm.
um, but yeah, I'm so curious and I'm so excited. And of course, we do also have some plans in mind how we want to execute AI from our spectrum. And
Amazing.
yeah, you're gonna see that very soon.
Yay.
And yeah, we're very excited about it. Great. I think we have learned so much in this so to say interview or discussion today. And the key takeaways I do feel in the core and the crux of all this is that how a centralized system, a centralized view of all that data scattered out, be in the name of tech pack information or information that is in your 3D platforms or
Mhm.
anywhere, multiple platforms, having that one single source of truth can really be a big game changer. And with new PLM technologies coming in, who thinks otherwise, that it shouldn't be a legacy system, shouldn't be a system that takes a lot of time to implement. And of course, you have been such a big part of that in making sure that our clients get up to speed right away, you know. And that's why I wanted to have you over and discuss a little bit more, so our listeners can also hear that from the first-hand experience of the real use cases, the real case
Mhm.
studies.
Yep.
It was a great learning. And before we part ways from here, I just wanted to have a very basic, question for you, for all the merchandisers, product developers, manufacturers, and their teams who might be listening to this. What piece of advice would you give them to be better at, at their jobs or their product development workflows again, or in general, because you've worked with so many of them, you yourself has such a vast experience. How would you brief that out?
So I think it's really just, and I feel like we've talked about it in quite a bit
I
of
know,
detail, but
already.
it's just investing in, the right tools and systems. And,
Hmm.
not every tool and system is the right fit for everybody. Everybody's in a different place in their journey, in a different genre. They're in apparel, they're in accessories. So, nothing is one size fits all. So I think just the curiosity and investigation of what those tools and systems might be, for every person or every brand. But I think the most important thing is, finding something that fosters collaboration and transparency and just creates the most efficiency across all teams. So, whether it's a robust PLM platform or other innovative technologies, just ensuring that your, design vision, your product details, and your communication are just aligned from concept to production.
Amanda, thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This was amazing.
All right. Thank you.